welcome to my live stream. You're on We Can Do This. My name is Julie Bowd, and I am absolutely so happy to have you here with me today. I'm feeling kind of mellow today. I'm in a very laid back kind of mood. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are as well, having a wonderful day today. And we're getting closer to summer. How exciting is that? Here in Pennsylvania, we've just had so much rain this year already, and I'm ready for some sunshine. How about you? Yeah, I'm guessing you feel the same way. I'm loving that sunshine. So, welcome back. I appreciate you being here as always. And before we start, I want to remind you to please hit that subscribe button below and give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. I really appreciate it when I get the support from everybody who watches, and it's really very appreciated, more than you know. And I'm glad you're here because we are going to talk about a topic today that is kind of near and dear to my heart. What happens when we feel hopeless? How do we find our way back to having hope? Sometimes it's difficult. It's pretty common. I think a lot of us these days are feeling hopeless. We sit back and we watch what's on TV, and or we go into our work environments, and it's tough to have hope in today's world with everything going on, what we're watching, what we know is going on. And it's not uncommon to feel hopeless right now. But, without hope, you don't really have much, right? There's, you have depression, you have anxiety, and it's really hard. You feel like you're almost in a deep abyss. You're in this black hole of Calcutta that you just don't feel like you can get out of. But we can. We don't have to stay stuck in a dark chasm. We can get out of it. And we're going to talk about a couple things that we can do to help ourselves get out of that hole and get back to a place where we do have hope again and are hopeful. So the first thing I want to do, though, is I want to talk about the definition, of hope. I mean, I think we all kind of know what it is, but I want to differentiate between hope and a couple other things first. Hope is when you believe you create a positive outcome. Now, we all understand that, but there are some things that hope isn't. Hope is not wishful thinking. It's different from that. It means you believe actually that you're capable of achieving a goal, that you feel it can actually happen. Wishful thinking is just, well, yeah, if it happens, it happens, whatever. But, it's not that. It's solid hope that something will happen. It's not really confidence it'll happen, but you have a hope that it's going to happen. And it's also different from optimism. Optimism is about when you're thinking about positive outcomes more so, regardless of what your role is, in the process. Hope, it involves thinking about an action you're going to take to make something good happen. So it's different from that as well. So I wanted to clarify that before we got further into the discussion. And another thing is hopeful feelings can lead, to a behavior change for sure. Even if you can't fix the problem, you can always take steps to fix, what's up here, your emotional, mental being up here. And, I think a lot of times when we're really hopeless, we just want something gigantic to happen just to make it go away. And, that's pretty unrealistic in today's world. Usually things don't just have one big thing happen. That's more the exception, not the rule. What I always recommend and what I do myself is I take baby steps. You know, when you take baby steps, you get that encouragement. You get a little bit more and a little bit more. With each little baby step you go, you still see you're making progress toward the end of, you finally reaching that good place again. So I find that just taking those little steps, realizing that you are making progress, that gives you confidence, right? And that gives you some strength to keep going and keep fighting to get to a place where you're hopeful again. And I think we all agree that hope is important. Hope is very important to have. And when you believe that you have the strength to make something happen, you're more than likely to give it a shot. Why not? And we all have that strength within ourselves. It's just sometimes it's very difficult when we're so beaten down or so low or so depressed. But we can do this. We can do this. And one thing we have to realize is, the hope that we have, might change over time. At first we may think we're hoping for something good to happen. But then the hope can change to be, I hope that no matter what the outcome is, I will have the strength to accept it, no matter what it is. So that it can morph, into different types of hope. It's not just something that can remain the same. It could, but the chances are it could also change as well. So some of the things, that you can find in yourself when you reach hope again is, you're less likely to be depressed or anxious. You're much more likely to be in a state of calmness, in a state of peace. And the more likely you'll be satisfied with your life. That makes sense. And you're more likely to have a better sense of well-being, in yourself, for yourself. And the more productive you'll be. When you have that hope, you want to be productive. You want to move forward. Whether it's in your job, whether it's with school, whatever it might be, you can have that hope and it'll help you in all these different areas. So with all of that, being said, many of us have experienced, any types of mental, emotional concerns, and usually it involves a strong sense of hopelessness. And sometimes it just grabs onto us so tightly that we just don't feel we can make ourselves better. But a lot of times, I know a lot of people, they don't have access to, professional help, whether it's a therapist or you're a PCP or a psychiatrist or whatever it is. Some people just don't have access to those types of resources, whether it's because of financial means or if it's because in the area they live in, there are just not a lot of doctors in that area. But I always, tell everybody, I've said it many times, on my channel, if you ever feel, this way, please find a therapist, find a psychiatrist, even reach out to your PCP for that assistance and help that you need. You start with that and you can help yourself through their support. But if you can't do that, and I hope you are not in that position, but if you are in that position, there's some things we can do to help ourselves. We have the strength in us to do this. So here's a handful, of things that, I know some of these I've tried myself. So the first one you need to do is, we need to focus on what we can change, not what we can't change. And this one's a hard one for me because I have been in circumstances, mostly in the work environment, not so much outside of work, but it could help happen outside of work too. Um, a lot of times you'll want something to change so badly, but it just isn't in your control. It's not something you're involved in. It's someone else that's causing you to feel this way, or it's another group of people making you feel this way, or a situation making you feel this way that you just don't have any control of. And it's frustrating. So what we need to do is focus on what can we do to change things? What can we change to go forward? And what can we do in our control that's going to help us find that self-care that we need? And another thing that I've done in the past, but I haven't done it for years, and I would like to get back to doing it again, but with the hectic life, that I have racing around all the time, it's really difficult to do it now. But years ago, when I was still living with my parents, I had a bedroom up in the attic of the house. And so I was able to get away from, television and radio and people and everything else. And I would practice mindfulness. And I know that's kind of a buzzword. I get that. And it could, involve a lot of different things. But what I did personally was meditation. And I would go up to my room and I'd sit on my bed and I'd cross my legs like an Indian, like they say, like an Indian. And I'd sit with my back up straight against the wall. And I'd put my arms on my legs and I'd close my eyes and I'd literally just focus on my breathing like they tell you to do. And there's no set time frame for doing this. There's no time limit. I think some people recommend, but I would just do it for as long as I wanted to do it. And I found it made me a lot calmer. And I did it for quite a while. And then, once I moved and went back to night school and started doing things, I kind of got out of that schedule because I was just busy. And by the time I got home, I was exhausted. And that's kind of what my problem is now. I'm so tired in the evening. I find myself falling asleep on the couch all the time. Before I can even think about doing something like that, I need to work up to that point. And I'm trying to take steps right now to not be so exhausted, to make some changes, to go back to that again. But, it's more than just meditation. You can put yourself in surroundings which can help you as well. I know personally when I was working a hybrid arrangement for my job during the pandemic, I would sit out on my deck in the summertime. And one day I was in a meeting. Now, it wasn't one I was actively participating in, I was just listening to it. But I was sitting there and it was a gorgeous day. And, all of a sudden I see 3 deer in our neighbor's yard. So the whole meeting, I'm sitting there and I'm watching the deer, and they kind of took their time and they walked across the road and then they walked in the back of our property and then they went back into the woods. You want to talk about peaceful and calming? Instead of being stressed out in an office, I had the ability to find an environment that made me feel comfortable, that made me feel safe, that made me feel calm. And it was great. And I miss that. I'm back in the office now every day, but I really miss that. And sometimes, I sit there and I look out the window at work and I'll watch birds, the birds, or I'll watch the cars go by. I kind of take my mind out of whatever is stressing me out, and I do deep breathing and I shut my eyes and just picture I'm somewhere else. There's a lot of things that I do to try to put myself in a different environment. So, that's another way that you can try to help yourself too. And I'm going to do some chats here. I see some of my supporters are online. I'm going to go with Dan here. Dan, you made it. My friend Dan, he traveled across country this week. He is helping out some friends. He's an amazing guy. So he is getting ready to board, and he said, "Love you." I said, "Love you too." I'm glad you have a safe trip, and I hope you have a great one out there, and that everything goes well. Um, and here's Mark, another one of my very loyal followers. Um, Absolutely, but as long as you have confidence to go along with hope, got to believe in it and give it your all. And that's hard. It's hard to find that strength. We all have it in us, but when we're knocked down so badly, sometimes it's really hard to find that strength. And it's a fight. It's a fight to do it. And, you know, sometimes it takes others to help us too. Sometimes it's hard to do it alone. If you're alone, it's tough. But we do all have it in there. It's just sometimes hard to dig it out. And Dad says it, my mom always said, hope is simply faith holding out a hand in the dark. I like that. I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Your mom had a real good saying there. I like that. And you remind me of my mom so very much. Well, thank you so much. That is so sweet and so kind. And what a compliment. I'm blushing. I'm blushing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So moving on now to past mindfulness. The next thing is a little bit in line with that, but not really. It's developing a spiritual life now. I've been a Christian the majority of my life. My family has, or my friends have, but I know that there are many out there that have different, feelings from mine about, a spiritual being. And I'm not saying that you would have to have the same faith I do. But what I'm saying is you need to find a higher being. When you feel that there's a higher being there that's in charge of things, that's in charge of your life, that's there with you all the time, no matter what time of day, is always there for you every second of every day and knows what's going on and is in charge of things. When you feel like you're so hopeless, there is a sense of peace that comes over you, that helps give you that faith to get through each day, and sometimes each minute, sometimes each second. I've actually had times where a minute just seemed overwhelming for me, so I went minute by minute, and then the seconds turned into minutes, and the minutes turned into hours, and eventually I worked my way up. But when you feel that there's a higher being there that is control of everything, and it's got you, it's got you, you feel that peace there, and it's a really good feeling to have. So if you practice some type of a spiritual practice, it can definitely help out a lot. And you would be surprised how much it does help. And of course, one of the obvious things we can do is we can do something we love, right? One thing I love to do is this. I love doing live streams. I don't have a large following, that comes with time. But I'm hopeful that eventually I will have a much bigger following, because my message is positive, and I'm hoping it's helping you. I want to help as many people as I can. I feel like that's part of why I'm here in this world, to help others in the way that I can, and I find this is something fun. I learned how to do this myself. I didn't have anybody help me how to learn how to live stream and set up a camera, and a tripod, and hook my cell phone up to my laptop to use the camera. I learned it all on my own, and I'm not technically savvy, believe me. I see that there's so many other live streams out there that are like real technical, and, I do have a microphone, but I haven't had a chance to try to get it to work yet. I'm having trouble hooking it up to my laptop, but that's okay. I don't have to be fancy. You know, I just know I love to do this. So I do it, you know, and I do have some great support. I've got great people who follow me every week. Um, I have family members that watch. I have friends that watch, and that just makes me happy. And I love the idea of trying to help others. Another thing I love to do is I love to watch YouTube videos. I try to watch ones that make me laugh. It's kind of hard sometimes to laugh, but I love to watch videos that make me laugh. And uh, those are kind of my things I love to do. I love to play games, whether it's a game on my phone or a board game. We just started lately getting back into playing board games. I love Battleship, and I love Chutes and Ladders. Those are two of my favorite games. They're from my childhood. I love playing them too. So you need to find something. What is it you love to do? Is it going for walks in the park? Is it playing an instrument? It could be anything. Maybe you're a runner. Whatever it is you enjoy doing, do it. Do it as often as you can and as much as you can. Because if it's something you enjoy, that can help that low feeling. I know that they say, that if you get out and exercise, I was a walker for many years, and, now I'm having some issues with my foot. But, I was a walker for years, and there is something very therapeutic, whether you're walking or running, about getting a change of scenery a little bit, getting out and waving to neighbors that you don't even know, maybe meeting somebody new along the way. There is something very therapeutic about it. Find your thing. What's your thing? What is your niche? What is it that drives you? What's your passion? Whatever it is, do it. And I guarantee that that's definitely going to be something that it's going to be able to help you as well. And along with getting out and about and getting that change of scenery, be with people who make you feel good. A lot of times when we're stressed out and we're really just don't have any hope at all, we just want to close the door behind us, stay in bed. We don't want to talk to anybody. We just want to wallow in our own self-pity. And, sometimes we just don't want to talk to anybody else. We just want to hide. But I can say that when we're like that, I do have a couple people in my life that don't give up trying to get a hold of me. And when they finally get a hold of me and I tell them what's going on, it really does make me feel better. And, shame on me. That's my fault. Because I know the people that help me, but I always feel guilty, reaching out to them all the time. Sometimes I feel like I just need to keep my mouth shut, keep it to myself. And I find when I do that, it usually makes things worse and it makes them hang on longer. So get those people around you, reach out to them, get on a video call them, text them, whatever it is, my friends and I, we do all of that, no matter what it is. And it does make you feel better. And, there's so many of us who have felt this way. We forget that we're not alone. There are so many of us that can support each other. There is so much understanding that's out there. And we need to remember that and utilize it whenever we need it the most and be there for those when they need it the most. Another thing that I found in my life that I've done is being a service to somebody else. Now, that could mean being a volunteer for an organization, which is what I did for many years. I was a volunteer firefighter and EMT. I've left the firefighting realm, but I am still have my PA certification to be a volunteer EMT. I don't actively do it much anymore, and I'm very grateful for that, because if I get called into service, that means somebody's hurting or something's wrong. But I can tell you that when you're there for somebody else who is hurting, is less fortunate than you, is struggling financially, is hurt physically, any of those things, you get a real sense of you're helping somebody else who's worse off than you. And that very much um, helps you have more hope for your own life. And I, you can volunteer for a food bank, and you don't even have to be a volunteer for an organization in order to feel you're being of service. I mean, be of service to your church. Maybe you have elderly parents, like I do, help them. They're getting, my parents are older now and they need help. And, whether it's helping bringing laundry from up the stairs, or whether it's mowing grass or whatever it is, we support my parents very much and help them whenever they need it. Or it could be helping a neighbor. If a neighbor has a family and, maybe one of them lost their jobs and, they're struggling and they have children, make them a meal and take it over. Or offer to mow their grass, or, trim their hedges, or whatever you have the ability to do. Support them whenever they need it. And it will be appreciated, and it'll make you feel so good about yourself that you're helping someone who is going through a rough time, who's having a bad moment in their life. It really, really makes you feel good. So give it a try. I promise you, it does work whenever you help others. It really makes a difference. Oh, and Mark says, or pick up and take care of the one you love. Absolutely. It could be parents, siblings, whoever, if someone's, had surgery or something, sit with them for a while, talk to them, play a game with them, or just go visit them, or, people in the elderly, if they're in homes, go visit them. They love having visitors. A lot of them don't have visitors at all. Be there for them. It doesn't even have to be someone you know. I mean, you can call the facility and they can make arrangements for you to be there for an elderly person and just be there to talk to them if that's all they need. It doesn't have to be something major, just something little. Little things add up, and, people do appreciate little things. I mean, I know I do. And the one thing is finding gratification with your own life. When we're in that abyss, the positive good things in our life tend to get lost in the shuffle. When you're feeling that way, it's a lot easier to believe the negative bad stuff. You forget about the good stuff. And there have been times where I finally just get so down and out and fed up with it. I start looking around me and I'm like, I'm really lucky. I'm very fortunate in my life. I have a nice home. It's not a castle. It's a very humble home, but I'm very happy. I have 5 little fuzzy fur-lined furries, my little babies, my little kitty cats. They definitely make me happy. That purring, whenever they cuddle and they purr and they get on your lap, and it's just the best. And then, of course, I have wonderful people around me, very supportive, loving, good people, who just have been there for me. I've tried to be there for them, that have supported me through thick and thin, and, great support from a group is great. It is best. And when you're looking at yourself, this is kind of a sad thing to say, but when when you see others who are less fortunate than you, and we're seeing them everywhere. I mean, let's face it, with everything that's going on in the world right now, we see what's going on in the streets of Los Angeles. We see what's going on in our own cities and towns. People are struggling, financially. We all know what the economy is doing. We're all feeling it. We're in this together. We're seeing it, we're feeling it. And, it's really hard it's easy to feel sorry for yourself. But when you look at others who have even less than you and their situations are not as blessed as yours are, I have a great job. Um, I have a great environment in my home. I couldn't be happier with all of that. And it's sometimes I have to kick myself out of my self pity and say, you know what, you need to shut up because you're being ridiculous. I am very happy with my life. And I will tell you that recently, within the last couple months, I was kind of hopeless in one area of my life. And I was miserable. But I took some steps to change that. And I'm currently in that process now. And I can tell you, if what I'm doing doesn't pan out, I have a plan B and a plan C. So I have hope now. I have hope again. I really feel like I can move on, and do whatever it is I'm going to need to do. I can do this. That's what this channel is all about. I can do this. And I'm looking forward to it. And now, don't get me wrong. If what I'm trying to do doesn't happen, I'm going to be devastated. I am going to be crushed and broken for a little while. But that's when I go to plan B and plan C. That's why I always say you got to have a backup plan. And in this case, I do. And I'm going to give it all I got. And I'm going to keep rolling forward. And I'm going to keep being full of hope. Because there is always hope. Even though we feel hopeless, there's always hope there. Sometimes it's just a struggle to get to it and find it. But we all can do it. Because we all do have the strength in ourselves. Sometimes it's just more of a fight than others. But we can do it. So with that being said, I'm going to give you my teaser for the week on what I'm going to talk about next week. And it's a little bit kind of on the same lines as what I talked about today. It's going to be finding some habits for a healthier life. What are some things that we can do in different areas of our life that will help us be a little happier? We all want to be a little happy. I mean, I'm content right now, but I'd like to be happier. So I'm trying to make changes. So what are some things that we can do to make ourselves happy? So you will have to tune in next week to see what those are. And we will talk about them then. So with that being said, as I always say, we can do this. We got this. I can. And I will. So can you, my friends. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. Never forget that. So with that being said, I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Have a great time with family or friends, or read a good book. And I wish you all the best. So I wish you all great times